What? He makes movies too now? Yeah, I heard so too. Awesome.
Alright. I acknowledge the fact. Look at how beautiful these hangings are. I'm only recording in 1080p at the moment because I think it's sufficient. I also want to inform you that some of the videos that I make, they end prematurely because I'm literally paranoid about people knowing where I live. Because I'm really afraid that it comes to a point where people are going to get really interested in what I'm doing. And because I'm dealing with very, very sensitive subjects such as depression, and because I represent something which in society is being frowned upon, I am very afraid that people are going to try to suppress me. And I'm literally in the position of shitting my pants constantly. So I'm constantly on the verge of collapsing into giving up. Because this, whatever it is that I'm doing, is like, holy moly, this is a whole nother level. Like, this isn't just some, I'm just playing around. No, this is like really serious business. This is really serious business. And I feel really vulnerable. I feel like, I don't know, something's different. I don't know what it is. I meet new people and I don't know who is who anymore. Right? There used to be a time where I would have said, all right, I think, yeah, I'm fairly certain she's my wife. And then I would have said, that's my mother. But things are kind of like blending into each other. I mean, it's like really crazy sometimes. Because when I listen to Ramdas and he says that I went into somebody training, I say I actually went into nobody training. And why do I say that? It's because the people that I meet, they're just one lump. Everything they do is like completely dependent on everybody else. So they're not actually somebody at all, they're just all nobodies. And because they're nobody, right? They're really happy if somebody comes along and says, hey, I see you. It's like, oh wow, you see me. So what's somebody, what's nobody? Yesterday I had a very strange thing. Because apparently I have a good vibe, I have a good energy, and people are starting to notice it. And that's a bit unsettling for me. Because when people start to notice your vibe, you are potential fodder, right? You're potential fodder and they're gonna suck you dry. And I really don't want that. It's good that I'm conscious about it, at least, that I don't want it. I just have to remember that I don't want it. Now I'm about to get ready, but I just have to get this off my chest before I go back to this place where the people live that think they're my parents, whatever. Because they don't really act like parents. They act like teenagers that started hating each other along the way. That's the truth. It's just like all this pretentiousness, it makes me insane to go back there. But I also acknowledge the fact that I was born into a form that has parents, right? It would have been so much easier if I would have just come into existence like some kind of miracle being. But now people try to claim you and they say, oh, he's my friend, he's my husband, he's my son, he's my brother. I can't love you because you're like this. Why do you always have to be different? And then I say, I don't have to be different, but apparently I am. Or at least you're saying I'm different. Why do you have to need me to be different? Because then I don't have to love you. Or whatever love means. Yesterday I was at that place. And it got to the point, right? It's like always this weird kind of, as soon as I'm there, my mother just jumps on me. And she's like, oh yeah, and she sits next to me and I show her pictures of the apartment that they are paying me. It's like very confusing. Everything is very confusing. And I show her pictures and she looks at them and she's very interested. And my father is sitting in his office and he's having a call. And I ask her, shouldn't we ask him if he also wants to join because he's her husband and maybe he feels left alone or whatever. And then she says, oh, he's busy. And she goes and closes the door to the eating room, to the dining room. What am I supposed to think of this? Is this weird? That my mother shuts out my father so that she can have me alone? Is this normal behavior? I mean, I hear these things when I listen to the audiobook from Erich Neumann, which probably I should read as a book myself, just to say it to myself in my own language, and to also take the time to read it in my own speed. It's called The History and Origins of Consciousness. And they talk a lot about the mother archetype. You know, how the mother tries to kind of smother their son. It's like very confusing if you get into these things and you start realizing that it's actually happening to you. Now, what is happening? I mean, she's closing the door and says, no, he's all right. She's actually happy that he's busy and she has me for herself. It's a little bit weird. At the same time, I see that she's struggling somehow as a human. She had an injury on her hand because she goes to doctors, to male doctors, so that she can have contact with men. Because my father is a complete imbecile if it comes to women. He doesn't know how to talk to them. He doesn't even know how to make love to them. Because he's so insecure that all he can talk about is just insurances. I literally have no idea how to have a normal conversation with that guy because he doesn't know what he's talking about. He just talks about everything that's like looming around on the surface, and that to me is just really confusing. I'm gonna film this, but when I leave the house, I will blacken the screen just so you know. I don't necessarily want to make it super easy for people to figure out where I live. Of course, it's fairly stupid. If I say that, they might see it as a challenge and say, hey, let's find out where he lives. But I'm just saying, just see it as a token of respect. That you don't barge into another man's home. Yeah? Because I don't want to see you. That's a fact. I have no need for you in my life. Figure it out for yourself. Right? That's just what I can tell you. Oh, now I'm gonna... Yeah, fuck off, man. Leave me alone. Yeah, sometimes you just have to get back to this place of, I have rights as well. People can't just piss on me. Anyway, and now comes the next step that I actually know why I don't want to spend time with this man, who you may call my father. Because now comes the next part. I just looked through the images. And when I was with my mother, she was looking at them and she said, oh, that's nice, that's nice. Of course, she just says that because I'm her son or whatever, right? And it's like, there is love. But it's not this kind of romantic sexual love, but sometimes it's still hard to make the distinction. What's love then? Because love can always, sometimes you feel love for someone and you think, am I going to have sex with that person? I don't know. Maybe it's just this father-daughter love. Or maybe it's just this brother-sister love. Sometimes you have more like a brother-sister love for someone. But these days, it's so easy to get drawn into each other, you don't know what kind of love it is. It's really difficult because there are millions of different forms of love. It's not just all love. There's literally variations. And for some person, you could feel like, oh wow, like I think the sex could be nice, but the rest probably not. And I feel like at the stage that I'm at, and you can hear from what I'm saying that I've been listening to Ramdas again because it really gets into the way that I speak. But that's okay. Because sometimes I just need that. I just need to listen to another man just to remember whatever I'm trying to forget. And what the point is, yeah. So I showed my mother, I'm just gonna call them like mother and father now. We all know what my standpoint on this, but just for the easiness of communication, I'm just gonna stick with it for now, right? I've said it now multiple times. And the reason I'm saying is because, you know, it's like you move out, you just want to make sure that there's the right kind of distance. So now I sit there. My chair faces, you know, with the back to the wall. My mother is left to me. Now I've shown her the pictures and it was a very nice environment. She was interested. She says, oh, that's nice and that's nice. And she pointed out some points. You know, it's just how it is. If you come home and you have a new haircut, your mother says, oh, it's beautiful. And your father says, it's a little short, isn't it? It's just the way it is. And then my father comes and I say, hey, have you seen this? And I show him the pictures and I go through them. And I show him the image of the tap that I installed for my water filter, which I really like. And I know that he thinks, what a hack job. And I think I love it. It's like super nice, right? He said nothing. I was grateful for that. But his, you know, because he's like, you know, I can do everything better than everyone else. You know, that's like living on a high horse. Yeah, maybe he can do some things, but emotionally, you know, I'm like, yeah, I know what's going on. And then he's standing behind me while I'm showing him these images, and he's standing behind me, and next to him is his wife, and he just farts. Like, is this funny? Is it disgusting? Is it sad? Am I supposed to feel angry about it or just feel nothing? Previously, what I probably would have done, I would have just said something and then he would have started laughing. I just completely ignored it. And I say that with this kind of face because that's how I feel about it. I completely ignored it, and so did my mother. And then the joke is on him. The joke is on him. The joke would be on me if I would say something to it, but the joke is on him. One reason why his wife kind of keeps a distance from him is because he just doesn't have any manners. He's a complete idiot. And that's just the way it is. And at one point, what I had to do is I had to accept it. That he's stuck in his teenage years. He's still trying to be funny by farting. When you listen to Terence McKenna, what he says, that he was sometimes in some villages, in some kind of, tribal, indigenous community, whatever. And that sometimes there were like very weird things. Like some of these tribes, they have really weird systems or traditions. However long these traditions may have lasted, you know, it's hard to say. But in these traditions, it's like the men spend their evenings completely alone and the women also. And the men get together in a hut and then they just sit around. And he said, the highest form of communication or the pastime activity is the fart. And everybody laughs about it. And I just think, what's the matter, man? I mean, you could spend time, men and women, together. You don't have to have sex all the time, but you could still spend time with each other. Be a family. It's impossible. If I go home, my father gets jealous, and then maybe sometimes I spend time with my mother, and then sometimes I spend time with my father, but a little less, because he just jumps into work as soon as he gets nervous. And then what happens is, when I spend time with my mother, the good point is that it draws him away from his laptop, because now he gets jealous. Damn it, somebody else is spending time with my wife. And then he comes into the room and he just wants attention, right? And that's a good thing. But to me, it's also a little annoying, because why do I have to be like the father figure? I mean, I've had situations with my father where I thought, he doesn't see me as who I am ever at all. Never. Right? I had this situation where I was with my father in the kitchen, and it was when I was just about to, I was just like going through these things, and I was just there. I said nothing. No, I did say something, because we had talked about something that I would help him with something, and then I went to him and I said, yeah, I don't have time. And we were in the kitchen, and he said it like a little child, you never have time. And he ran away from me. And then you think, what was this? Technically above 60-year-old man on paper, right? It's like, oh, I'm that old. Says to technically his son, who's 30 years younger, you never have time for me. And runs away like a little kid. Talking about the inner child, right? So who are you really? Ever? And who am I in all of this? That's what's driving me insane. Who am I to who? Because when I go and I speak with my dad, to him it's like his father is sitting there, and I think that's what's confusing to him. Because he doesn't understand these feelings. Because I have, in some ways, outgrown him emotionally, spiritually. I'm more a man than, sadly to say, he will ever be. Sometimes I want to go back to being a little kid as well, right? Being cradled and all kind of stuff. But mostly, I'm more a man. I have masculine energy, right? I've opened my heart. I confront a lot of my fears. So I have some kind of, as Don Juan says it, right? I'm collecting power in a certain way. Or maybe I just am, I don't know. And my father sees that in me, but he can't place it, because in his mind, he's supposed to be older than me. But there he's running around, farting, next to people who are eating, next to his wife. I think he really doesn't give a shit anymore. And I just think it's disgusting. But I also just think the joke's on him. Because he's the idiot that can't even keep a fart in, or doesn't want to, so the joke is constantly on him. And maybe he's okay with that. So let the joke be on him. But I'm not laughing, right? I'm not laughing. I'm just completely ignoring it. And that's, it's like watching these YouTube fails compilation. Or try not to laugh, and really try not to laugh. The problem is, if you watch it and after 10 minutes where you really tried not to laugh, there's this one instance and suddenly you're like, okay, you got me. That was actually funny. It's like building up, right? He does it once, he does it twice. At one point, he's just like this. And then it gets you and you're like, damn it. Damn it. I can't help it, but a part of me, every time he farts on the inside, there's a part of me that's just laughing. And I don't like it. I would rather not like it. It's like when I sit in my apartment and I fart and I think, damn it, if I would have fasted, I wouldn't have farted. And it smells in here, right? It's like, okay, nobody's here but me, why shouldn't I fart? But if somebody else would be here, I would make sure I wouldn't fart. There's a difference to me. Because if there's a woman in here, I like it to be nice and clean. Because I like women and I want women to be around me. So I just make sure that I don't do these things. That I don't look at their breasts all the time. That I don't stare like, right? I still see the whole image, but I don't narrow it down. Sure, if I'm with a woman and we're getting intimate, then I focus. Then I focus on her nipples, on her breasts, on the tips of her breasts. Then I focus on her face, I just give a lot of focus to the detail. But with women that I just meet on the streets, it's just like one blob of femininity. Right? And I think that's what it's about. It's about the focus. What do you focus on? If you run around and all you focus on is, butts in tight yoga pants, how can you focus on holding the energy? How can you focus on your children if you're constantly running around with your phone? Yeah, so trying to be funny with farting is, I don't know what. I have to go to the restroom. Yeah, okay, so later today I'm gonna make lentil soup. But first I have to pick up things from my apartment. Just have to make sure that I keep moving out. I don't know if I like it that this video is a bit longer. I'm not sure if I like it that I feel cold. One reason I feel cold is probably because I did give in to masturbation a couple of times because it was just overwhelming. It's not an excuse, it's a fact. Sometimes it's just overwhelming. Everything, it's just like, it's too much. And I can't deal with it. It's driving me mad. Because I really don't know who is who and what is what, and especially who is who in terms of women. I don't really give a crap who is who in terms of men, to be honest. What I give a crap about is who is who in terms of women. Who is who in terms of women? Which woman is what? I really don't know. And I'm trying, right? I don't really care if a woman comes to me and we click, I engage with her. And then I send her a few things. And then I'll just see how she picks it up. And that to me is not every woman, I'm not interested in every woman. There are some women, I can just spot from a distance already, I don't even want to talk to you. But there are some women where I think, yeah, I enjoy talking to you. And whichever, whatever, right? It's like, You don't know. That's all I can say. At times, right? It's like, I don't know. I just don't know. And then the only question remains is, do I have to know? And then the answer is, no. You don't have to know anything. You just don't have to know anything. All you have to know is, right in the moment, because if somebody's really interested, you're gonna feel it. It's gonna like, all right. And that's how I see it. That when a woman wants to be with you, nothing's gonna stand in her way. Nothing is going to stand in her way. And that's how I test women, right? How easy can I push them aside? I'm trying to be a little less forceful in pushing women aside. That's also true. Because, right, if I'm like really forcing them out and I go to great length to force them out, then none of them will stick. So yeah, the point is that sometimes you just have to play along, right? When my dad came to me and said, here's an apartment, I went into myself and I thought, oh yeah. But I also made sure I'm not gonna give that to him. I'm just gonna be like, the reason you're doing this is because you're selfish. I still say thank you. I said it like once, or I let it slip that I'm grateful. But after what happened, I cannot just be like, oh yeah, thank you. Because when I would do that, and that's another one of these really crazy things, they would think they can use me now. Because, oh wow, if he's that grateful, now he has to do what I want. Because now I'm in the position they actually do what I want. I don't manipulate them too much. But in a way, sometimes I do. Because I realize what kind of an effect? It's really nice. The card is already home, or where I used to call home. And that I find liberating. All right. So it's black now, so I don't want you to see. Oh, it smells like food. It smells like food. have everything. Yeah. Guten Tag.
Guten Tag.
Yeah. Anyway, so good thing is I can keep talking, because if I know I've told you, right, I can put this camera on black whenever I want to. Then I have the freedom to move where and however I want to. You know, it's like, it's still strange sometimes to walk around and film yourself, especially because I don't know really where to film myself, how often to film myself, and also when to just keep silent. Yeah. But in essence, oh wow. Right. The point is, I'm still often not sure. Like, this takes preparation, mental and emotionally, to walk around in the open and speak about whatever I experience. Right? I seem to be good at it, but it's still weird, if you get what I mean. I mean, it's not that I wake up and I say, wow, another day in paradise, right? Because sometimes I wake up and I'm in hell. Sometimes I want to be in hell, and then it's actually, because, you know, I can tell you, I don't know what happened. 2 days ago, I was at the boulder hall where I told you I hiked there, and then I bouldered, and then I hiked back. And while I was bouldering, I climbed a route, and I had been working on that one for some time. You know, it feels like an eternity. I had been working on that route, and I really got hooked on it. You know, I wanted to try others, but I just had to do this one. I just had to do it. For whatever reason, you know, just like I'm walking where I'm walking now, but I really had to do it. I couldn't help doing it. I just had to do it. And I probably climbed it, I don't know, 30 to 40 times. Tried to climb it, and I fell a lot of times. I had a lot of scratch marks, and people tried it alongside me, but they all gave up. And there was nobody else at the time that wanted to try it or that knew how to do it. And the challenge was, for me personally, that the span of my arms is relatively short, you could say. You know, there were some people, because the way this boulder works is you first have to jump onto like a volume, they call it in German. I don't know what the English term is. And then you have to grab like something that's just on the edge of the wall. You know, it's like hard to describe. And then from there on, you have to actually extend your right arm. That's the way it's probably being done. You have to extend your right arm and then grab the edge of another thing. And for me, it was impossible to just hold on and then just reach over and say, hey, I've got it now. I just didn't reach. I tried a couple of times, and every time I realized it doesn't work. And then other people came that had a larger arm span, and they could just go there and just do like, whoop. And they had it. I was like, okay, I have to find my own way, because apparently I'm a little bit different. I'm a little bit smaller in terms of physical height or whatever. But I figured I'm going to find my own way. And I tried it a couple of times. I wasn't quite sure about it. But I thought, you know, I'm going to make it. I'm going to manage. Somehow I'm going to do it. And I did. So I find my own way, and I'm still thinking about asking them whether I can actually film it. Whether I can film it next time. I think I'm gonna ask them if I can put up my camera and film it, because it's a very nice boulder. I really like this boulder. And the way I solved it was also really nice. You know, others tried it, but nobody managed. And that's, of course, to me, because, you know, bouldering is a great love of mine. I could do this all the time, right? Right now I'm just working with whatever money I have available. And so I have to, like, really make a conscious choice. When am I going to go and boulder? And maybe, I don't know yet, the weekend, I'll see, right? But it also, of course, is good to take some time off and to not just boulder all the time, but just to do it, you know, once in a while or something, right? It's like, okay, you know, I can do it once in a while. This site, by the way, I find beautiful, and that's the way I try to see. I also took an image of that. Right, you may live in whatever city you live in, and some people may think, wow, that's so ugly. But if you just shift your perspective a little to from wow, that's so ugly to, oh wow, look at how the stair is going, it's like, it looks nice. It's actually really beautiful. And this is how I try to engage with myself all the time, right? It's like, if I think something's ugly, I just look at the fine details, right? If you think a person is ugly, you can always find some beauty in it. So if I say, yeah, my dad's farting, you know, I can see some form of beauty in that, because I know why he's doing it. You know, it's like, I'm farting for attention. Please love me. Or I'm farting and look at that, you know. You're not running away. I mean, maybe, yeah. You know, maybe at one point he would say, but I doubt it. You know, now I've tried farting for attention and they're not running away and nobody's laughing, so maybe I can stop farting, right? I mean, there's the possibility of that actually happening, but I don't see a big chance for that, for whatever reason, right? It's like, you don't know. But yeah, it's just like you just have to accept it. And today I don't really want a lot of attention, so I'm avoiding to go through the city, because people are idiots, and when they see you're recording, they're just going to be idiots about it. But to me, it's still something serious, right? It's like, you don't want to be too stuck up on doing this, but you can still say, hey, you know, this is my work, right? It's like, you know, I'm working, so leave me alone. Because some, you know, for most people, what YouTube is just a joke. It's just something to laugh at. It's just something to love with, and that in a sense is stupid. So what YouTube mostly is just a bad joke. It's just a bad joke. And yes, sometimes you don't know whether you're supposed to simply accept it like this and just say, like, I don't know, I think this is a private part. Just look at this. Right? It's like, mostly people stay away from here because this is basically like private property. There used to be a co-working space here, but because this place is quite expensive to rent and Lüdenscheid isn't really big, it just stopped. But just look at this. Now you can already tell because it's quite a majestic place if you see it like this, right? And nobody's using it. It's like, nobody's using it. Because all they want to use it for is just to make money. But people don't really have a lot of money. Plus, the way it's been usually run is just for people that have money. And then they can come here and say like, oh, we have money. Now there's always a problem, because if you say, we open this space to the public and you can just come here whenever you want, people would start taking a piss on it. And maybe they wouldn't. It's possible. Maybe they wouldn't, because maybe there's still a form of respect, because it's a beautiful building and it's quite clean and you know somebody wealthy owns it. Like, look at this. Come on. I mean, Lüdenscheid has a lot of beautiful spots. And it's about seeing the jungle. Right? Always see nature as a jungle, as a living thing that's growing. And you will most certainly change the way you see life. So wherever you live, it doesn't really matter. But I'm sure that wherever you live, there are always places, right, where you can find something nice. It's like maybe you have a day that's a bit stupid, right? You feel a bit terrible. I mean, sure, if you would have table tennis bats, you could play table tennis. If you would have a really bad day, you could come to this swing. Yeah, I just like doing this with the camera also. And you can just swing a little. Because it doesn't matter how old you are. You can always do this. But most people wouldn't, because they think, oh, I'm too old for this. Or I'm too this for this. Yeah, I'm too much of a whatever. You know, I don't have these concepts. So I can go to my parents and I can be a bit of a son. But if I leave there, I have to remember that I'm also a man and a warrior inside of here. But if I'm too stuck on being a warrior, you know, I'm starting to lose interest in life and enjoying it. So if I'm too like, I'm a warrior, yeah, then I'm rigid. But I need to be flexible. And that's what it means to also be with your inner child and to heal your inner child. Because your inner child has certain needs. And maybe my inner child was thinking, why don't you go and play a little? Yeah, why don't you go and play a little? Well, I just did, right? So I, all right. But I also feel a little tired. But that's the problem. You know, I say I feel tired. I think what I really feel is I feel kind of stuck. And now I think, damn it, why didn't I take my slackline? Well, because maybe today I was saving my energy get the things so that I can build some kind of closet in my apartment, right? You know, that was the idea for today. And right, because today there are all kinds of distractions. And today I can't just be a child. Sometimes I can be a bit childlike, but I also have to accept that I'm not only a child anymore, I'm also an adult that has to take responsibility for the way he feels and to a lot of other things. And that means that if I go on a mission right now, you know, I have one goal. You know, go to your parents' place. Don't stay too long. Pick the things that you need to pick up and then walk back, because now it's good weather, right? The sun is shining, it's a beautiful day, so you make the most out of it. And that's what, you know, making the most out of it, it's also having a plan. Yesterday it was raining. I felt weak and I said, I already brought the cart there, but I'm not gonna take it back today because for some reason I just don't feel like it. It's like places like this. Looks nice to me. I like it. It's like, you know, okay, it's an industrial building, but I see the ivy, I see the tree, I see the clouds. I just see the oldness of the thing. And I've walked here before like this, but I didn't film it then. And sometimes it's a challenge to do these things again, right? It's like over and over again, there are some things which I just have to do over and over again, right? It's like I have to go over and over again in my mind through, you know, okay, what is my job today? Do I want to eat? Do I want to drink cacao now? Or what do I want to do, right? It's like over and over again, I have to go through this stuff in my mind. And that's a real challenge. Because every day I have the feeling I actually wake up and I'm blind. It's like every day I have the feeling I wake up and I'm blind. It's like reset button, I don't know what's going on anymore. I have no idea, is it left or right? You know, in which direction am I facing? And that's why you have to have certain techniques that allow you to remember why you came here, who you are, where your position is in life, and what your next step should be. And that's why you need goals. Right? My goal at the moment is, and that's what the voice is constantly telling me, whatever the voice is, but it's constantly telling me, keep moving out. And then I say, yeah, I heard it. I heard it that I'm supposed to keep moving out. And I do it, all right? You know, I'm moving out, okay, I get it. I don't know what the purpose of this is. You know, my main question is, am I gonna have sex afterwards? Am I going to earn money afterwards? Am I finally going to be independent? Right? Are my books going to start selling? Or is this just all a big fat joke? You know? Have I just been smashing myself with psychedelics, thinking I have had all these crazy realizations, and then in the end it turns out that, you know, it was all a delusion? It's possible, but what isn't a delusion? Because if I keep living like my experiences so far and my choices have been based on a delusion, or that my experiences have been a delusion, well, then I will feel really stupid, which I sometimes do. But what I can do is I can say, hey, it happened, it felt good, it felt right. And when I look at how other people live their life, all I can say is, you know, I'm more conscious than the rest of the people that I meet. I make, in that sense, other choices. You could say better choices. There's a coffee roastery here, but I'm not drinking coffee at the moment. Yeah, I always like doing this, but oh wow, I just want to take this one. Yeah, here I took my hand. Oh, why did I take my hand? Now I feel I have more energy again. It's just the heaviness of being judged all the time. I mean, I'm sure some of you can relate to this, but every time I go somewhere, I do something, I try to be me, people come and take a piss on me. They come and say, what are you doing? They come and say, you shouldn't do it like this. Right? I show them an image of how I solved the problem with the water filter and the tab, which I really like. It's like DIY. And they look at it and their opinion is like leaking into the moment. And sometimes it just takes a lot of strength of mind and will to just keep that out and to just say, right, let them have it, right? Let them have their little bullshit, their little dirty backyard where they can just sit inside and just piss on everyone, because that's what they do. Sometimes I meet people and they walk past me and they, you know, it's like I have the feeling that in their mind they're actually spitting into my face. But the truth is, because I'm the mirror, they're actually spitting in their own face. And that's the truth. And that's why when you lose your shit with other people and you start screaming or you run away, then you're the one who lost. And if you're the one who lost, then you lost. And so you're constantly playing this weird kind of emotional, social game with people. You know, who's in charge? Because if I allow my father to ruin the apartment that he kind of forced me into, right? Then he won. Sometimes other men come to me. I have told this story already, but I just need to keep going into this because it feels like a dagger into my heart. But a dagger into my heart is maybe the leverage that I need to open it. It's like cringe it in there. You know, just, you know, put the dagger in. I'm gonna use it to open the thing. It's like every dagger is also a key. Because every wound that you receive, it's like, oh yeah, that hurts. Oh yeah, that hurts. I love it so much, you know. That's like these emotional backstabbings. You know, women that really want to see if you love them, that are afraid that you won't, they're gonna screw around with you. They're gonna play games with your mind, trying to make you lose your faith, make you lose your trust. You know, they're gonna give you the feeling you're insane, I'm telling you. And what do? You just keep walking. I had these situations many times where I said I'm going for a walk, and there was this young woman, which a part of me still loves, which is the really crazy thing, because I mean, she literally fucked with me. She backstabbed me really badly, twice at least. And the rest of the time she was just screwing around with me, just like pushing, pulling, you know. Of course, yeah, that's tantra, right? I mean, that's Tantra. On another level, that's great sex. But it wasn't. It was just like nagging and shouting and leave me alone and like the cold shoulder. And I was basically the victim. Not because I'm a victim, but because I thought I was. And now I walked here deliberately because I just wanted to see, do a bit of exercises just before I continue. Because as crazy as it sounds, I still have energy, even more actually, and that's often the problem, where we think we lack energy, we actually have too much of it, right? And that's what you have to get used to, that you actually often have too much energy. Wow. So there are a couple of exercises that I just like doing. I'm not sure if I really want to do too much today. For me, it's just sometimes, you know, it's a bit of stretching, because when I'm at home, right, I'm often so tight that I cannot properly stretch. But I can just get here and just at least let out some energy. But now it also starts to rain, so maybe that's all there was to it, right? Say, okay, so I have to make sure Whoa! Yeah, so, you know, some days I don't have to do everything, right? Some days all I have to do is just like this. Yeah? That's just what I feel. Some days if I can just get a little bit of that into me, because my apartment at the moment, you could say it's a little bit dirty. I certainly need to rinse the floor, so I have to remember to bring some soap today. Now just be aware that if you're filming in an urban environment, that there may be people that will steal your equipment. So don't just put your camera where people can easily access it. I once had it that I had my speaker standing around, and somebody came while I was training, was standing there, and somebody came and he was, you know, he acted like he was training, and his friend said, yeah, come now. And he said, no, I will wait. And he was waiting for an opportunity to steal my speakers, and I knew it. I could feel the intent that he was having. So if I go around, I film myself, I'm not just stupid about it, right? I have to be a little bit conscious about that I have equipment that other people would like to have. It's not just the equipment, it's the space that I create with it. Because people think, oh wow, he's having a good time, I want this for myself. And then they think if I only have the camera, then I'm gonna have it. Yeah, and then people buy action cams. You know, it's like my brother. He bought a drone, he took some pictures, but he doesn't really know what to do with it. Because he doesn't know how to take time for himself and to basically go and play in a masculine, serious way, because he has no message. He has no heart's desire. Everything he feels, he just tries to, basically he only feels fear. And he deals with that fear by buying things. You know, he always goes on a shopping spree. He always buys new covers for his phone, and right, because he himself isn't enough. He himself isn't enough. And so he just keeps buying things. And so he has a drone, but he doesn't use it. Because he doesn't have a message, and my message is live your life, mate. So if you don't have a message, then it's very hard to stay motivated. If I wouldn't have a message, I probably would have stopped a long time ago. But because I have a message, I continue. And this exercise literally healed my lower back. For whatever reason, yeah, so the same thing is, for instance, some people, they go and train because they want to have a six-pack. But if that's your only motivation to train, there's no depth to it. It's just like, oh yeah, I train because I want to have a six-pack. But when you're at home, you just feel miserable. Because if there's nobody to see your six-pack, then what's the point, right? Because you have it so that other people can say, oh wow, he's got a six-pack. And yes, so that was good. So I come here because I feel like I'm doing some very heavyweight emotional lifting at the moment. I don't know what I'm lifting or who I'm lifting, but I'm lifting. And every time somebody comes and takes a piss on me, I have to lift it. Right? It's like the hangings I made for my room. You know, other men come and say, oh, those hangings, you know, they're like, yeah, you know, they don't say it. They don't openly say it. But it's like they're fumbling around with the knife in your face, and you think, man, just fuck off. Do you really have no balls? I mean, what kind of a man are you that you have to push it like into my face that, you know, because ultimately they actually think I'm courageous. And that's what you have to learn, that if other men come and they take a piss on you, sometimes women get angry at you. Why? Because they want emotional security. Because everybody they meet, as soon as they show a little bit of their shadow or of their emotions, everybody's like offended. Oh, so if you come and you say, I'm a man, or you show that you're a man, that you have a beard and you walk like a man and at least you look like one, they're gonna try to see if you're really one. And then you have to prove it to them. And that's the challenge, because that's what people want to know. Is he really what he appears to be? And when you are what you appear to be, first people are going to test you. And when they feel like they've tested you adequately, then you'll have their respect. But you first have to earn it, right? It's like you first have to earn the respect. And so my way of life is do it yourself, go for a walk, right? Play around, but be serious. You know, I'm not just playing around, I'm playing around because it's also physical exercise. And that's how children learn and grow. They play around and they do their things. And if you walk around and you want to be a man, but you're ashamed to go onto things like this because you think only children do this, then you're basically killing your inner child. Whereas my inner child says, no, just do it. But then I have to live with the fact that there may be people that come and say, hey, who are you? You know, children are like this, especially, you know, it's like not really German children. They're really shy. But Moroccan children or more Southlandish children, they're like, what are you doing? Who are you? Are you doing YouTube? Yeah. And I happen to enjoy this, which you may say is weird, but that's just the way it is, right? It's like, I really happen to enjoy this. I felt like slacklining already. You could say this is slacklining. You could also ask, am I not now a bad example for children? But this thing is here. Any child could do this. If I would be a child, I could do it. But if I'm an adult, people say, you're a bad example. Why? You know, I'm showing them I know what I'm doing. I'm not stupid about it, right? If a child can do it, then so can I, right? It's not just that you always have to be a really good example. I once stood here and I jumped, and it was after I came back from a festival and I was still riled up a little, and I thought, you know, can I jump over there? And I hit my knee, and it was a little bit painful to say the least. But it showed me I can actually jump over there. Like right now. Yeah, now it says give it a try. But the problem is, it says give it a try, but I don't have... Right, it's like, how do I set this up now? Because I don't want the camera to break. That's one of my main reasons. Sure, if I can put it like this, then it probably holds, right? But not really. So sometimes you really have to find a way how to make things work for yourself personally. Because if you always do what other people say you should do, then you're basically, I know how to do it. Because if I just do it like this, yeah, I can put it here. That works.
right? You can still be a little afraid. Now I have to check that. But it's like one of these things, okay? You can say you did it, but if people don't see it, they probably won't believe it. But at least I know if it stands here. Okay, I do this and it shows that it holds. Now I can take off my jacket and I can put it behind it, and I can take off this sweater because I don't want to break it. And now I want to jump over there. Of course you can't really see how far I'm gonna jump. Alright. Now it's the motion to take your... Okay, I say 1. And that's always the point. I can't really do it now. Because I know I hurt myself last time. And I don't want to hurt myself again. Because this fabric is really hard and uncomfortable. And that's why, you know, now I'm hesitant, and that's the same I have with relationships. And that's why sometimes I do this to just push through, but you also have to be careful. You like, don't be an idiot. This is a calculated risk. I know how to fall, I know how to jump. I know this won't kill me, but it could if I'm really stupid. Right? It's the same lesson for psychedelics. Don't be an idiot. Don't just go into the forest and take mushrooms unless you maybe feel really good about it, right? But if somebody's trying to push you, don't do it. If you have a good feeling with somebody, there's no guarantee that your feeling is correct. So in the end, you're the one that's gonna make the choice. So you make the choice, you either jump or you say, I'm just gonna leave it. Because last time I hurt myself on this one. So I don't really have to do it again. And that's where I say, that's the choice that I have every time. Because I already feel injured. And if I do that now, I may prove to myself, oh wow, look at me, right? I'm so super courageous. But if I keep doing it over and over again, you know, that's what I've seen in people that are traumatized. They just want to see, oh, is he going to hurt me as well? You know, if you identify with your trauma, you may even want people to hurt you because you think, you know, as a child, I received love from my father because he was hitting me. And this is a challenge where I say, I'm just gonna let that pass. Because I don't want it. Because it's stupid to just do things, always to just push yourself. Because on the inside at the moment, I'm crying. I'm really, really vulnerable. And so I say, I'm just gonna pick a challenge that I can deal with. Because if I hurt myself now, if I fall now, that's gonna be a real blow. Right? So this is enough then, right? It's like, this is enough. I can jump down there and I can feel good about it, right? Doing like simple exercises, and that means, you know, if there's a woman now, and it doesn't matter how old that woman is, she might be 17, 18, I'm just saying woman, feminine energy, feminine being. Yeah, with 18, there are young women that are quite mature, and there are also young women, women
at the age of 60 that are just like children. So I want somebody who's a little bit serious about the spiritual path, and then just to see how we connect. And that is where I say I have to take my time, because I'm really injured. There's something inside of me, like I've received a wound, and that takes time to heal. And if I meet a woman and she's not really in for it, because I want, I'm this kind of, I want all or nothing. If I want a woman, I want this woman to give herself to me completely, because that's what I want. I want to give myself to a woman because that's what it means to start a family, right? It's like all or nothing. You go into it and then you see what comes out of it. But at this point, I realize another blow, I don't want it. So I still open myself up to women, and I see which woman I can connect with. I still open myself up, because if I open myself to my trauma, I also open myself to healing it. If you have, or you think you have, or you say you have a spider phobia, then there is apparently a trauma with spiders. Whether you've been talked into it, or you talked yourself into it, or maybe like, I don't know if it was, I think it was Ron in Harry Potter who said that his brothers bewitched his little teddy bear or something, and it turned into a spider and he was hugging it, and that caused his trauma of spiders, which is why he was afraid of spiders. And he took this experience as a reason to say, that's why I'm afraid of spiders. If I would be in his position, because I knew there was an experience in my life that caused me to be afraid of dogs. I had it in my mind. I knew that it happened. Basically, it was just miscommunication between the dog and me. The dog was being picked up and I just wanted to touch it, and it didn't like that, so it barked at me. And I thought it was trying to bite me, but it didn't try to bite me, right? It's just like, Rah! But as a kid, it just really scared me. It's like, whoa! Yeah. And I took that as a reason, okay, I'm afraid of dogs. And everybody said, oh yeah, he's afraid of dogs. That's who he is. He's afraid of dogs. And I transformed it. How? By spending time with them. I just spent time with dogs. Lots of dogs. But I didn't just go to them and touch them. No. The first experience was you just sit there and just let the dog come to you. And then once the dogs came to me more often, because I was learning to be more and more relaxed in their presence, I would realize that I got to a point where dogs actually started to be afraid of me, which may have been the case all this time already, but who knows, right? I don't know that. Maybe they've been afraid of me all this time, just didn't realize it, or maybe they was just checking me out. And that's the experience I've had with women now, that I've been injured a couple of times, and now I just don't know who to play with anymore, how to play with them. What does it mean to have sex? Does sex, do you always have to have sex? I really would like to have sex, but I'm also a bit scared of it. And I certainly am also a little bit more cautious. I'm not just gonna have sex without condoms, as spiritual as I might be, and as against condoms as I think I am. I also say, you know what? I'm just gonna let it come to it. I have condoms, and when it comes to it, I'm gonna be responsible, and I'm gonna say, let's just take it a little easy. Because every time I met a woman, I thought, this is gonna be it now. Marriage, children. But I also realize it's a little bit much. So why not just take it a little slowly, whoever it is, and you just
build it up. You know, you can already have sex. You don't have to like have hardcore sex and then the condom breaks. No, you just do it a little bit slowly, like gentle. And when you realize, oh, this is nice, this is working, you know, we're getting to know each other. And maybe you push off the real intimacies, but I'm not sure that that actually works. Because I feel like I'm really in need of sexual healing. But I also prepared myself emotionally and mentally. And now I'm basically just waiting for someone to say, hey, you know, I'm up for it. And maybe it's just gonna be tantric massage. And, you know, I know if I'm with a woman alone at night now, with whatever, there's gonna be sex. Because I feel like I'm probably irresistible, because I've done a lot of purification, a lot of cleansing. And if you're shining out light, then the women are interested. But it has to be the right woman. And the right woman will keep being interested. And so, you know, step by step, I've been saying, let's just see where things are going. I already made a plan. Tomorrow I'm gonna go slackline. Let's see how the weather is going to be, right? And then we will see. For now, that was all, right? It's like some challenges you meet and some you say, I'll just let that one pass. As hard as it seems, but that's just how it is. Just as I, for whatever reason, have been eating sugar again because I feel like, you know, it's a little bit overwhelming. So I just need the extra push to do what I want to do. Cheers.